The fireworks were supposed to mark a beginning. Instead, they lit up the exact moment my son's wife told me I had no value left. I'm Lillian Hart, 57 years old. I've lived in this house for 32 years, raised my boy in these rooms, buried my husband from this front porch. Tonight, New Year's Eve, the snow was falling in that quiet way that makes everything look clean and forgivable. It wasn't. We'll be putting you in a home, Mother Hart. Vanessa stood in my kitchen, the one I'd remodeled when Ethan was still in high school, her arms crossed over that cashmere sweater I knew cost more than my monthly groceries. You're not contributing anything anymore. It's time. The word contributing hung in the air like smoke. My hands didn't shake. I kept them folded on the table, the same table where I'd helped Ethan with his algebra homework, where Richard and I had shared 23 New Year's Eves before the cancer took him. I looked at my son. He stood behind his wife, and he wouldn't meet my eyes. Ethan. He shifted his weight. Mum, it makes sense. The house is too big for you. You're alone here. We found a really nice facility. I'm 57. You're not getting any younger. Vanessa's voice was sugar and arsenic. And honestly, this house is wasted on you. We could sell it, use the money for your care. It's the responsible thing. I'd taught kindergarten for 31 years. I knew the sound of a lie. I'd heard thousands of them from 5-year-olds with chocolate on their faces swearing they hadn't touched the cookies. Vanessa's lie was smoother, prettier, but it was still a lie. What she didn't know, what neither of them knew, was that I'd written the curriculum half those kindergartens in America were using. The Little Learners method. My copyright. My royalties had been flowing into a separate account for the last 15 years, quiet as snowfall, steady as breathing. I lived simply because Richard and I had always lived simply. We didn't need a showpiece life. We had each other, and then we had Ethan, and that was enough. But I'd never told my son about the money. I'd wanted to see who he'd become without it. There's paperwork, Vanessa said. She slid a folder across the table. Just a formality. Sign here and here. It authorizes us to make medical and financial decisions on your behalf. I opened the folder. The pages were dense with legal language, but I caught the words that mattered. Power of attorney, property transfer, voluntary commitment. You want me to sign away my house. We want to take care of you. Ethan's voice cracked on the last word. For a second, I saw the boy he'd been, the one who'd cried when his goldfish died, who'd held my hand during Richard's funeral. Then Vanessa touched his arm, and that boy disappeared. I closed the folder. No. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Excuse me? Vanessa's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. I said no. She looked at Ethan. He looked at the floor. Then she looked back at me, and I saw it, clear as daylight. She'd already spent the money in her head. Already redecorated this house, already calculated what it would bring on the market. Mother Hart. Her voice was still sweet, but there was steel underneath now. I don't think you understand. We're trying to help you. You can't live here alone anymore. You're becoming a burden. A burden. I'd raised her husband. I'd taught him to read, to tie his shoes, to treat people with kindness. I'd worked 2 jobs after Richard died to keep him in that expensive college he'd wanted. I'd given him everything, asked for nothing, and now I was a burden. Get out of my house, Vanessa laughed. It was a bright tinkling sound like breaking glass. Your house, Mother Hart? I don't think you've checked the deed recently. She pulled out another paper. This one had my signature at the bottom. Except I'd never seen it before in my life. You signed it over to us 6 months ago, don't you remember? You were having one of your spells. I'd never had a spell in my life, but I recognized the game. I'd seen it before. In the news, in the horror stories my retired teacher friends whispered about over coffee. Elder fraud. It happened every day. Children stealing from their parents, forging signatures, justifying it as love. That's not my signature. Of course it is. Vanessa's smile never wavered. You're just confused. It happens at your age. Ethan still wouldn't look at me. That's what broke my heart. Not the fraud, not the betrayal. The fact that my son, my baby boy, could stand there and let her do this to me. I want you to leave, I said. My voice was steady. I was proud of that. Both of you. Now. We're not going anywhere. Vanessa sat down, made herself comfortable in my chair. This is our house now, but you, Mother Hart, you need to pack a bag. We've arranged a room for you at Shady Pines. They're expecting you tonight. Tonight? The word came out sharp. It's New Year's Eve. Perfect timing, really. New year, new start. You'll love it there. They have bingo. Outside, someone set off a string of firecrackers. The popping sounded like gunfire. I stood up slowly. My knees were fine. My mind was clear. I was 57, not 90, no matter what Vanessa wanted to pretend. I'm not going. Mom, Ethan finally spoke. His voice was tired. Please don't make this harder than it has to be. Harder than it has to be. Like I was the problem. Like I was the one tearing this family apart. I walked to my bedroom and they let me. Probably thought I was going to pack. Instead, I grabbed my purse, my phone, and the small bag I'd kept ready ever since Vanessa started dropping hints about getting older and needing help. I'd known this was coming. I'd just hoped I was wrong. When I came back out, Vanessa was already on her phone, probably calling the locksmith. Ethan was pouring himself a drink from the bottle of whiskey I'd bought for tonight, for the toast we were supposed to make at midnight. I'm leaving, I said. Vanessa looked up. Good, the transport will be here in an hour. No, I'm leaving, and I won't be back. Something flickered across Ethan's face. Doubt, maybe, or relief. I couldn't tell anymore. Mom, come on, we're doing this for you. You're doing this to me. I looked at him, really looked at him, memorizing his face. And you know it. I walked to the front door. Behind me, I heard Vanessa say something, but the words were lost under the sound of fireworks. Someone was counting down to midnight. 10, 9, 8. I stepped out into the snow. The door slammed behind me. 7, 6, 5. I heard the deadbolt turn. 4, 3, 2. The lights in my house, in my home of 32 years, went out, one by one, like they were erasing me. 1. Happy New Year. The train station was nearly empty. I sat on a bench and watched the snow fall through the yellow streetlights, and I thought about everything I'd lost in the last 2 hours. My home, my son, my faith that love meant something. But I still had my purse, and in my purse was my phone. And in my phone were the passwords to accounts Ethan had never known existed. I wasn't homeless. I was just done playing helpless. Mrs. Hart? I looked up. A young man stood in front of me, maybe 30, wearing an expensive coat and carrying a briefcase that had probably cost more than my monthly retirement check. I'm sorry? I didn't know him. Lillian Hart? Widow of Richard Hart? My heart did something complicated. Who are you? He sat down next to me, uninvited but somehow not unwelcome. My name is Marcus Reed. I'm a private investigator and attorney. I've been looking for you. I haven't been lost. Haven't you? He smiled, and it was kind. Your husband hired me 5 years ago, Mrs. Hart, just before he died. He set up a trust fund in your name, but with very specific conditions. I stared at him. What conditions? That it would only be activated if you were ever abandoned by your family, if you were ever made homeless or destitute or abused. Marcus opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder. A real one. Not like the fake papers Vanessa had showed me. He knew there was a possibility his son might not be the man he hoped he'd raised. He wanted to make sure you'd be taken care of no matter what. My eyes burned. Richard. My Richard, who'd taught Ethan to play catch, who'd believed in the best of everyone. He'd known. Somehow he'd known. How much? $4.2 million, plus the accumulated interest. It's yours, Mrs. Hart. It was always yours. The number didn't feel real. I'd been living on my teacher's pension and my royalties, comfortable but careful. I'd never needed millions. Richard and I had never wanted millions, but he'd made sure I'd have them anyway, just in case. What do I have to do? Marcus smiled. Nothing. Just decide how you want to live the rest of your life. Free of people who don't value you. I looked down at my hands, the same hands that had changed Ethan's diapers, made his lunches, held him when he cried, the same hands Vanessa had called worthless. I want them to understand, I said slowly. I want them to know what they've lost. Revenge? Justice. I looked at Marcus. Can you help me with that? He closed his briefcase. Mrs. Hart, it would be my absolute pleasure. We rented a penthouse. Not just any penthouse. The penthouse directly across from the luxury building where Ethan and Vanessa had moved 3 months ago. The building they could only afford because Vanessa had been systematically draining my accounts, using that forged power of attorney. Marcus had confirmed it all. She'd been planning this for over a year. I stood at the window and looked across at their balcony. I could see right into their living room, see the expensive furniture, the art on the walls, see the life they'd built on the foundation of my supposed helplessness. Phase 1, Marcus said behind me. He was on his laptop, typing rapidly. I've created a shell company, Apex Innovations. It's going to be the hottest investment opportunity of the year. And you want them to invest. I want them to invest everything. He looked up. Vanessa's greedy. She won't be able to resist. Especially when she thinks you're too confused to notice the money disappearing. She already thinks that. Then let's prove her right. Marcus pulled up a document. Here's the prospectus. Tech startup, breakthrough AI technology, guaranteed returns. It's completely legal, completely fake, and completely irresistible. I sat down across from him. And when they invest, we wait. We watch. And in 10 days, when they've committed everything they stole from you, we reveal the truth. Marcus leaned back. We reveal you. 10 days. I could wait 10 days. I'd waited 32 years to find out who my son really was. Vanessa took the bait on day 3. I watched from my window as she and Ethan hosted a dinner party. I could see her laughing, gesturing, playing the part of the successful young couple. I wondered if she'd told her friends about me, about the old woman she'd so kindly placed in a nursing home. Except I wasn't in a nursing home. I was right here, watching. Marcus came over every evening with updates. Vanessa had called the investment firm 6 times. She'd done her research, or thought she had. The shell company looked legitimate. The returns looked real. On day 5, she wrote the check. All of it. Every penny she'd stolen from my accounts, plus their savings, plus a loan she'd taken out using the house as collateral, the house she'd stolen from me. Marcus showed me the bank transfer. She's all in. And Ethan signed off on everything. He thinks they're going to be rich. I thought about my son, the boy who used to bring me dandelions from the yard and call them flowers. The man who'd stood silent while his wife threw his mother out into the snow. What happens now? Marcus smiled. Now we plan a party. The event was supposed to be a celebration. Ethan had rented out a ballroom downtown. Celebrating new partnerships, the invitation said. He'd invited investors, business partners, journalists, people who could witness his success, people who could witness his fall. I dressed carefully. Not in my usual comfortable slacks and sweater, but in a tailored suit I'd bought specifically for this. Navy blue, elegant, expensive. I had my hair done at a salon for the first time in 5 years. When I looked in the mirror, I saw the woman I used to be. The woman who'd commanded a classroom, who'd built a curriculum used across the country. The woman Vanessa had tried to erase. Marcus picked me up at 7. Ready. I've been ready for this my entire life. We drove in silence. When we pulled up to the hotel, I could see the lights blazing, hear the music. Through the windows, I could see Ethan and Vanessa holding court, glasses of champagne in hand. They had no idea. We walked in through the service entrance. Marcus had arranged everything. I would wait in a private room until exactly 8:30. Then I would make my entrance, as the guest of honor. At 8:15, Marcus came to get me. They just announced the Apex Innovations partnership. Ethan gave a speech about vision and growth and the future. And Vanessa? practically glowing. She thinks she's conquered the world. I stood up, smoothed my suit. Let's show her what conquest really looks like. The ballroom went quiet when I walked in. I saw the moment Ethan recognized me. His face went white. The champagne glass trembled in his hand. Next to him, Vanessa's smile froze. I walked straight to the microphone. "Good evening," my voice carried across the room, clear and strong. "I'm Lillian Hart. Thank you all for coming to celebrate my company's new partnership." Whispers rippled through the crowd. Ethan took a step toward me, but Marcus appeared at his elbow, holding him back. "Some of you may have heard that I was in a nursing home, that I was incapacitated, unable to manage my own affairs." I looked directly at Vanessa. "I'm here to tell you that report was greatly exaggerated." A nervous laugh from someone in the back. "In fact, I'm here to announce that Apex Innovations, the company my son and daughter-in-law so enthusiastically invested in, is a wholly owned subsidiary of my educational company, Hart Learning Systems. The company that's been generating royalties from the Little Learners method for the past 15 years." The whispers became murmurs. "The investment they made was with money stolen from my accounts using forged documents. Money I allowed them to take because I wanted to see exactly what they would do with it." Vanessa's face had gone from white to red. "This is insane. She's confused. She doesn't know what she's saying." "I know exactly what I'm saying." I pulled out a folder, the real one this time. "I have bank statements showing systematic withdrawals from my accounts. I have the forged deed to my house. I have recordings of you telling me I had no value." Ethan found his voice. "Mom, please, we can explain." "Can you explain why you threw your mother out on New Year's Eve?" The room was dead silent now. "Can you explain why you tried to have me committed to a nursing home so you could steal my house? Can you explain why you looked me in the eye and told me I was a burden?" He couldn't. I saw it in his face. The guilt, the shame, the realization that everything was falling apart. "Apex Innovations is real," I continued. "The technology is real. The returns are real. But they're mine. Every penny you invested is going to be returned to its rightful place in my accounts, along with penalties for fraud and elder abuse." "You can't do this," Vanessa's voice was shrill now. "We're your family. You stopped being my family the moment you decided I was disposable." I looked at Ethan. "Both of you." I turned to the crowd. Business partners, journalists, all the people who'd come to celebrate success. "Let this be a lesson. The elderly aren't invisible, we're not confused, we're not worthless, and we remember everything." I handed the microphone to Marcus, and I walked out. Behind me, I heard Vanessa screaming, heard Ethan calling my name, heard the flash of cameras as the journalists realized they had a much better story than they'd come for. I didn't look back. The legal proceedings took 3 months. Marcus was thorough. He built a case that was airtight: fraud, forgery, elder abuse, attempted theft. The evidence was overwhelming. Ethan and Vanessa tried to settle, tried to apologize, tried to explain it away as a misunderstanding. I didn't care about their explanations. I cared about the precedent. The judge sentenced them to community service, 200 hours each to be served at the Elder Justice Center. The center I'd founded with part of the trust fund Richard had left me. They would spend those hours helping the very people they'd tried to exploit. They would learn what value really meant. I'm 62 now. 5 years since that New Year's Eve. 5 years since I walked out of my old house and into my new life. The penthouse became permanent. I like the view. I like being able to see the city spread out below me, all those lives intersecting, all those stories unfolding. I still work. The royalties from the Little Learners method keep coming, but I've added to it now. I write new curricula, train new teachers, consult with schools across the country. I'm busier now than I was at 57. And I'm not invisible anymore. The Elder Justice Centre has expanded. We help seniors who've been defrauded, abused, abandoned. We provide legal services, housing assistance, counselling. We make sure no one else has to sit in a train station on New Year's Eve, wondering if their family ever loved them at all. Marcus still handles my legal affairs. He's become a friend. Sometimes we have dinner and laugh about that first night when he found me in the snow and told me I was a millionaire. I never speak to Ethan. He's tried over the years. Letters, calls. Showing up at the centre trying to volunteer beyond his mandated hours. Always with apologies, always with explanations. I don't answer. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. Vanessa divorced him after the first year, took what little they had left, and moved to California. I heard she's selling insurance now. I hope she's learned something about the value of honesty. I doubt it. Last week, I gave a speech at a conference on elder rights. Standing room only. People wanted to hear about the woman who'd fought back, who'd refused to be erased. I told them the truth, that I hadn't fought back because I was strong. I'd fought back because I had no other choice. That strength isn't about being fearless, it's about being terrified and doing it anyway. That the most dangerous thing in the world is a mother who's been underestimated. After the speech, a woman approached me. She was probably in her 70s, thin and tired, with bruises on her wrists she tried to hide with long sleeves. "My daughter," she whispered. "She says I'm senile. She's trying to take my house." I gave her Marcus's card. "You're not senile," I told her. "You're not alone, and you're not powerless." She started crying. I held her hand and thought about that night 5 years ago, the fireworks, the snow, the sound of the door locking behind me, the moment I stopped being someone's victim and became my own champion. How they thought I was a piece of furniture they could discard, an old woman who'd outlived her usefulness, taking up space in a house they wanted to sell. They thought my silence meant weakness. They thought my kindness meant I was easy to fool. They were wrong about all of it. I was never the fragile thing they imagined. I was the foundation holding up the entire house. And when they tried to tear me down, they discovered what happens when you remove a foundation. Everything collapses. I don't tell this story for sympathy. I tell it as a warning. To the children who look at their aging parents and see dollar signs instead of people. To the family members who think love has an expiration date. To anyone who believes that growing older means growing powerless. We are still here. We are still watching. And we remember everything you do. Don't ever mistake silence for surrender. Don't ever mistake patience for weakness. And don't ever assume that a mother who has given you everything won't take it all back when you prove you never deserved it in the first place. Happy New Year. The fireworks are just beginning.